Hello everyone, I am the Timeline Man, and this is the Timeline Man Redesign project that I have done to start uploading videos again. last time, I feel like I should make it last time, but we made the color sketch. Well, most of it. There was already the jacket and pants were already there. So now we're just going to borrow. So I had some time to think about him as a person. So the question is now, what do I do with the shoes? So I could do what I did in the original design, which is these black shoe type things, but in this design of him, I gave him these really cool looking boots that I honestly really like, but I don't know if it would fit this style, so I'm thinking I'm going to attempt to make this into like a sneaker. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense to y'all watching. But the first thing we're actually going to do is we are going to grab, oh dear, this man's flesh color here, and we are going to draw ourselves my nightmare. And by my nightmare, I mean hands. So, the idea here, oh dear, that's not right actually. So the idea here is that first he's going to have this bit that sticks out. I'm going to draw a watch on this wrist later. And I'm sorry for any awkward pausing. I'm going to look at my own hands to try to pose this. It's probably not the best way. Okay. Okay. There are definitely better ways to be drawing hands than just using your own hands as reference. But, you know, I'm fairly certain this works. So it'll work out just fine. Alright. And then we have the two fingers that are sticking up. And there they go. And then the thumb. I feel like I just cut out the palm of his hand. Let's see. If I do this, yeah, I'll do that. If I do this. Yeah, there we go. There's using the old noodle. Can I get rid of this selection? Nope. There we go. Erase the selection. There we go. So let's just... I have quick buttons on my tablet to move between pen and eraser, so let's just start using them. Alright, there we go. And lengthen his hand just a bit, so that we can kind of create this sort of, that little thumb muscle, that really thick muscular bit. Thumb is pointed upwards. There we go. I feel like that looks better. Oh, I can probably slim this down a bit, just a bit. I can thicken that out as that. Okay, actually no, that looks, now taking just a little bit of a step back, that looks horrifying. It's much too thick. Alright, so let's just make this and I feel like that looks vaguely more human. Actually, I feel like that angle is wrong. Let's see what I can do about this. See if I can like select this. Oh dear. That's weird. Crap. Well, let's just increase that size a bit more. As we erase this hand, because I just realized that would make that hand this hand. Oh, what the hell? Oh dear. There you are. There we go, it's all gone now. Alright, so I'm just gonna have to erase this. All of that. That's not just a lovely experience for everyone involved. Huh. Alright, so now let's do the same thing, but mirrored. Alright, so now it's like that. So, start off like that. And like, curve in a bit like that. Something like that. And then there's this. That feels a bit much for that. Let's just erase that just a bit. There we go. And now we draw the fingers that are sticking up. That's a little diagonal for that. No, that's not quite right. This is just a little bit. Point index finger is shorter than the middle finger. There we go. This needs to go down a bit further. Oh goodness. Oh, that looks awful. Look at that giant hand. specifically, these fingers are just a bit too long. There we go. That hand is more reasonably sized, even if that thumb is a little goofy looking right now. I'm gonna just might need to reshape a bit down here. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the entire hand a little bit shorter. There we go. That looks so much better. Just gonna do this. There we go, that should be able to work. Oh goodness. Oh, this operates off of that? Okay, that's interesting. I guess what I can do is I can just do this, make the setting so that I can do whoop. There we go. The eraser. Okay. There we have it. That's hand numero uno. There's a whole nother hand to do. And then there's the shoe design. I've hidden one of the feet, so I don't have to draw both shoes. So, haha, smart. So in the original, his other hand was put in his pocket because, well, I was honestly pretty aware that this did not look that good. So, what do I do with it this time? That is the question to ask myself. So I was just checking the time I've been recording. Because honestly, I don't want to be recording, and I don't want to have to upload too long of a video to YouTube. So, as I come up with this idea, as I just start drawing some things out, I'm going to kind of explain the history of, well, who the Timeline Man is. So, in name, the idea of the Timeline Man started in the Hub RP server, which is something I'm no longer a part of. It was a small joke because the idea I had for an RP I was going to run was that there would be multiple possible timelines and that the players would be able to go between them. And everyone thought, like, that's nuts. Why would you do that to yourself? And so I became within the server. I became known as the Timeline Man. And before then, I had never really had like a solid name. Like every now and then, I would change my Discord name, and it would confuse everyone. Yeah, it was just kind of a whole thing. Yep. So if we do that, and then well, it started a bit as a joke. And then I decided I would like go, okay, what would the Timeline Man look like? And that's how, not this picture, no. That's how, if I go into here, One second. I think it might actually have been on the other computer user. Hmm. Oh well. So that's really weird. There was this okay. So there was this sort of it was of this design, but it was from the side, and it was a sort of a profile picture that I had made for myself. And in the background, it was also this gradient, this green to black gradient circle thing here, this nonsense. And it also in the background, they were these faded sort of symbols that related to the RP I had been making. So that was a fun little thing. And then from there, the Timeline Man became a character in the Diamond Realm Discord server, which is Shin Megami Tensei, which is the music that is playing in the background right now. Roleplay server. That whole thing has been kind of dead recently, but it's always been fun to use. And basically, in that server, the Timeline Man is a man who has gone back in time. Well, first off, the Timeline Man's real name, as established by the canon in that RP server, his name is Marcus. His name is Marcus Timeline. Well, not Marcus Timeline. His name is Marcus Future. And he looks like... Come on. That's the art projects. Should be somewhere around here. He looks like this. This is what Marcus Timeline looked like before the whole story began. And the whole thing goes that he was a car mechanic, and he invented, well, he had been working on a time machine, and he was so close to figuring out, but there was just something he couldn't do. When Stephen from the Shin Megami Tensei series came in, and just kind of one day just kind of came in and finished it for him. Told him it would be vital to what was coming up, and then he left. And Marcus then saw his friends die. His friends being various other characters in the RP server, and he looped back 5 different times back in time. The problem became that demons are omnipotent. They know about timelines and like time travel and nonsense. So that means demons would recognize him. And so he started disguising himself. And this is the 5th loop disguise. I think it's a pretty good disguise, huh? Yeah. But he kind of doesn't have like his own canon really, except that like, well, his canon in the comic is a lot simpler. In that he's from the future, he goes back in time to stop his future from happening. His future that looks, a bit like that. It looks like that. It looks like this. Look at this. I don't want to live here. With this thing. Yeah. I didn't realize they'd put the boot details on this thing. Oh well. Well, that's what shading tends to look like with me. Yeah, look how much difference that shading changes everything here. So, that'll be fun to see to look back on this video series after the finished project is complete, and just kind of look back on all of the things that happened. So next part I'm going to do is I'm going to sketch out his shoes, which are going to become inspired by Wow, those shoes were like all shading, huh? Alright, so let's start here. For the sake, we're going to make it a bit more of a green rather than the orange that it was. Okay. Alright, so I kind of sketch this shoe here. I've been ever since this thing, I was like, no, this is not acceptable. Feet. I'm going to figure out how to actually draw shoes. So I did, or at least tried to. And from the details, we're going to have this whole thing. It's going to be a bit of a lace-up shoe, you know? It's going to go underneath his pants. We have to draw this line separating the separating the top part of the shoe from the sole of the shoe. I don't know what to call the top part of the shoe. I don't do shoes. Let's see, any other colors? Yeah, no, this didn't have like separated soles or anything. So what we're going to do is we're going to make them a very dark blue. Like an incredibly dark blue that, you know, you're probably going to think is black at a first glance, much like how his hair is going to look black at a first glance, or this is going to look close to black at a first glance. Alright, so let me just kind of, yeah, sketch that out. We do some heavy duty type shoes, with like some real traction-y looking bits. But then the back, this sort of heel bit, I didn't finish drawing the back of the top part of the shoe. Whoops. There we go. There we go. That looks pretty good if you ask me. So now if we remove that, this is what the Timeline Man is looking like right now. Alright, so I suppose next time I will be doing line art, maybe colors. It's like honestly after this first bit, the rest of all this stuff. So like the way I always start, so I'm actually just gonna give this a very quick little thing here. Is that here's what I always start with, is the pose sketch, the sort of skeleton thing. It gives me just an idea of what it is, what's going to happen here. And then I make a clothing sketch. Like this. This one has colored in fingers for some reason. And then I make the sort of... The lining and base color tends to be on the same layer. And then I add usually smaller details on a different layer so that they can be adjusted on their own. And then the shading. Yeah, that really brings everything together. And then I work on background, starting with what I want the lighting to be, and then the what's in the background, and details, shading there, noise filter. Well, the idea behind this noise filter is that it separates him from where he was. Like, this is sort of him in the present time, that's his future. At least that's the idea behind it. What? So, thank you all for watching. I am the Timeline Man. Farewell.